Okay, now let's go back to our top story on the unique water conservation campaign launched by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And to do so, we are joined by our special guest on the show, Mr. Deepak Kumar Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Bihar, Water Preservation Expert, joining us from Patna in India. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes. First of all, let's have your view on this unique campaign of water conservation and nature conservation launched by Prime Minister today, but with a very firm and definitive angle of Jan Bhagidari, public participation. In a way, the way Prime Minister pitched it today, pitching it as a public movement or a national movement of sorts. Your thought?
Yeah, see, water conservation cannot succeed without public participation. In fact, water conservation is not, it cannot be seen as a particular program. It is actually, water conservation will succeed only when it becomes a part of the lifestyle of the general population. So it is not only some building of tanks or building of the rooftop harvesting system, but it's in the everyday life when a person understands the importance of water conservation. And in each and everything, whether it is a domestic use, whether it is industrial use, whether it is water used for washing, for taking bath, everything. And apart from that, we have to understand that everybody knows that the fresh water is a very critical thing. It's a very short supply. And therefore, each and every drop of water that falls, that comes as part of the rain on this Mother Earth, has to be preserved as a fresh water source, so that it can be used, because ultimately the food cannot be produced without water. Yeah.
You spoke about fresh water, sir. India is home to only 4% of the fresh water in the world. Having said that, we do have water resources in abundance in a way, like we have rivers, we have large geographical regions. At the same time, that remain bereft of water. There is scarcity, and water tables we've also seen is also receding at a very fast pace. So there are many challenges.
Yes, there are many challenges, because you see that despite the fact that we have abundance of water resources, but at the same we have to understand that India is a vast country. So in one area there are abundance of water resources, but at the same time there are areas which does not have water source. And again, only because the rivers have water does not mean that we have abundance of water, because that water ultimately has to recharge the groundwater. So the main thing for the purpose of conservation of surface water, the purpose of conservation of rooftop water harvesting, is ultimately to recharge the groundwater, and that is very important. So the water which flows into the river and ultimately goes into the sea will be of no use unless it recharges, unless it is used for recharging the groundwater.
Right, sir. And as far as today's unique campaign launched by Honorable Prime Minister is concerned, he made some very, very thought-provoking and visionary remarks, you would agree. But how do you see this Jal Sanchay and Jan Bhagidari campaign in terms of a futuristic approach where water scarcity is combined with climate change and the kind of huge impact it can have, or it is already having, on the lives of people?
You see, certainly, I mean, in the context of Bihar, if I may say, in the Bihar, the Chief Minister of Bihar launched a Jal Jeevan Haryali campaign. That is the water, greenery and life. That this campaign was launched in the year 2019, and the basic purpose was to preserve each and every water resources. Like the state government has a policy that any water source cannot be diverted for any other use. So I must say the Honorable Prime Minister has touched it's a very prime thing. If we have to fight the climate change, if we have to ultimately make the earth secure for the future generation, water is a critical thing. So we have to save each and every drop of water, and the water conservation in the term of the surface water, because you know, with the increasing population in India, the problem is that many amount of land is being used for the habitation purpose, for industrial purposes, and the traditional water sources, they have gone down. The traditional wells which were used in the villages for the purpose, the traditional ponds which were used in the villages for the purpose of either bathing or for the purpose of bathing the animals, pet animals, they are no longer there. So it's a very laudable initiative, and I must say that he has hit the crux, and this must, as I again say, that this has to be built into our very lifestyle, of the lifestyle of each and every person, and not only lifestyle of each and every person, but into each and every project which we are executing, whether it's a
Okay.
road project, whether it's a building project, every project.
Okay.
Yes.
Also today, Prime Minister said that India has a potential to find solutions for itself as well as the world. And also he credited the understanding of India's ancient scriptures as far as the whole water and the way it is integral to India's traditional consciousness or culture. Your thoughts? India giving a fresh template to the world in the sense, in terms of solutions to the world as well, not only domestically, but internationally.
Definitely. You see, as I said, that India is a very vast country and we have all kind of terrains, whether it's a desert, whether it's a hilly area, whether it's a plain area, whether it's a plateau. So the experiment which India makes will not only make an example for our country, but it will make an example for the entire world as such, because no other country is having such kind of diverse terrains. That is one thing. The second thing is that traditionally, as the Honorable Prime Minister has said, that water and the river, they have been worshipped in India from
Yes.
the ancient times. And this kind of worship of nature, it's very rare, which is to be found in, especially in the developed countries. So that is why India can definitely show the way to the world as to how water is to be preserved, how the nature is to be preserved, and how by preserving water, we can fight the climate change.
Prime Minister, in fact, also pointed out that even though water-related projects worth thousands of crores have been initiated in the past as well, but a kind of turnaround that is, visible on ground in the last decade or past 10 years. What kind of shift do you see has happened in this space? Water preservation, water harvesting, water conservation, and making water available, to the last mile delivery.
You see, the after independence, the water, all the projects which are related to water, they were mainly aimed at harnessing the water, basically for use for the purpose of agriculture. So we have seen large dams, large reservoirs which have been built, but only the large dams and the reservoirs cannot help in preserving water, because the earlier the emphasis was on the large projects so that water can be used for agriculture, for irrigation purposes, for industrial purposes, and sometimes also for drinking water purposes. But unless it is a spread, unless it is spread throughout the country, not only in terms of few large projects, but in terms of every dotted projects dotting each and every part of the country and fulfilling the local needs, till then this will not succeed. And this is what the Honorable Prime Minister, I think, is trying to tell us and to tell the world.
Okay. Your thoughts on the whole of society and whole of government approach. Do you think this has been actually path-breaking with the whole Jan Bhagidari concept?
Yes, definitely it's a path-breaking concept. And as I said, that without public participation, the Honorable Prime Minister had also given the concept of LIFE, L-I-F-E,
Yes,
which
yes,
he had
yes.
given at the conference on climate change. And that is also the same thing, that we have to change our lifestyle so as to preserve water, so as to conserve water. And therefore, the public participation is very essential. This cannot be achieved only by a few engineers making certain projects. But unless each and every person is made aware and they are made part of it, they are made an active stakeholder in this entire campaign, this will not succeed.
Your thoughts on the fact these stakeholders, and especially when we talk about Jan Bhagidari, 50% of the participation has that of being women. I mean, PM also talked about that as well. The rural aspect of it. Your experience.
You see, especially the women and in the rural India, they have to bear the brunt of the shortage of water resources. You see the areas which are drier, there the women has to walk a lot of distance just for fetching water for the purpose of drinking or the purpose of domestic use. So they understand the importance of water, and certainly they have to be made an important stakeholder in this entire campaign, and it will succeed.
Sir, one final question. I'm going to digress a bit from water to overall uh, the larger vision of Prime Minister Modi when it comes to combating climate change, following positive practices, and most importantly, the whole vision or concept of reuse, recycling. In fact, even addressing the business leaders during his Singapore tour, he elaborated on reusability and scrapping or phasing out old vehicles, moving on to electric mobility. So India basically leading the way in that space also?
Yes, yes, definitely. And in terms of climate change, in terms of combating the climate change, you see, we have taken a large number of steps. It is, if I only come to the water conservation part of this, it is not only the surface water conservation in the villages. We have also started in a large way the water conservation in the hills. And that is very important, because in the hills, if you conserve the water, it helps in two ways. Number one, it increases the greenery, which ultimately helps us in combating the climate change. And secondly, it recharges the groundwater. At the same time, we are moving on all the fronts, whether it is used of the renewable energy, not only electrical vehicle, but he has given a target of making the renewable energy a larger part, taking a larger share of our entire the need of energy. So in all these aspects, certainly we are showing the way to the, because you see the still the uh, per capita power consumption in India is very low, but it is increasing at a very fast pace. And if at the current stage we start using renewable energy, and the way the country is moving under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, and the way we are using the production of the renewable energy, certainly we will be able to show the world as to how the fossil use of fossil fuels can be brought down, how the renewable energy can be increased, and at the same time how the water can be conserved.
All right. On
Yes.
that note, thank you very much. Even in the space, when we talk of conservation, prevention, combating climate change, reusability and all that, India shows the way, and India can show the way to the world. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on
Thank
this
you.
broadcast and
Thank
sharing
you.
your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.